In the blinding glare of Studio 6B, Jimmy Fallon didn't interview Donald Trump. He eviscerated him in front of the nation, turning Trump's smug boasts into stuttering panic as those too-close wedding photos of Donald and Ivanka exposed the lie everyone whispered, but no one dared say aloud. The boy called Barron might never have been Melania's at all. It started with one line that nobody saw coming. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett was doing a live interview when she dropped the bomb. "Let's be real," she said, looking straight into the camera. "Barron Trump might not be the kid everybody thinks he is." Within minutes, the internet exploded. Pretty soon, Ivanka Trump's name got dragged into it. Whispers started spreading that Barron might actually be her son, not Melania's. This was 2025, and Donald Trump had just won back the White House. The country was already on edge with all the political fights and drama. Every move the president made was being watched under a microscope. Now this personal bomb about his youngest son was threatening to blow up everything. Just a few days later, The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon aired this explosive episode. It was taped live from Studio 6B at 30 Rockefeller Plaza in New York City, the iconic NBC home of The Tonight Show since Fallon took over in 2014. The Tonight Show set looked bright and familiar as always. The band kicked off with the usual upbeat tune, the audience clapped on cue, and Jimmy Fallon walked out with that easy smile everybody knew. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Trump strode onto the stage like he owned it, waving big, soaking up the cheers and the few boos that got drowned out quick. He shook Jimmy's hand, sat down, crossed his legs, and jumped right in. "Jimmy, we're winning again. Biggest comeback in history. Economy's roaring, borders are locked down, and the fake news is finally getting nervous. Tremendous. Really tremendous." Fallon let him finish, gave a small chuckle for the camera, then leaned forward just a hair. Then he reached for the big leather album sitting on the table between them, the one he'd carried out like it was no big deal. Trump laughed again, loud and casual. "What's this, Jimmy? You got my old modeling shots? I was quite the looker back then, believe me." The audience chuckled with him, but Fallon didn't laugh back. He just looked at Trump, calm, almost gentle, and said, "Mr. President, we're going to talk about something a little different tonight." Trump was still chuckling from his last joke, wiping the corner of his eye like everything was normal. Jimmy opened the first page. The photo showed Donald and Ivanka at what looked like a private wedding event. White dress, tuxedo, big smiles. But the way they stood, too close. Her hand rested flat on his chest, fingers spread, his arm wrapped low around her waist, pulling her in. Not the casual side hug you expect from family, more like a couple posing for keepsakes. Fallon turned the page without a word. Another shot, them dancing, faces inches apart, eyes locked. Ivanka's head tilted toward his shoulder, Trump's hand on the small of her back, thumb brushing the fabric. The next one was worse, both laughing, foreheads almost touching, like they'd just shared a secret. The audience started to murmur. A few phones went up in the back rows, recording quietly. Trump's laugh came out shorter this time. "Come on, Jimmy, those are old pictures. Family stuff. We were having fun. You know how it is. Big events. Everybody's happy." He waved a hand like he was brushing off dust, but his smile didn't reach his eyes anymore. Fallon kept turning pages. Each flip made the room quieter. One photo showed them sitting on a couch, Ivanka's legs crossed toward him, his hand resting on her knee for a split second too long. Another had them alone on a balcony at night, city lights behind them, her leaning into his side while he looked down at her like she was the only person there. Fallon stopped on the last spread. He reached inside the front cover and pulled out a single folded piece of paper, yellowed, dated in neat handwriting, March 15th, 2005. He unfolded it carefully, held it up so the camera could catch the words, then read out loud in a steady voice. "Dad, we have to keep this baby a secret. No one can know the truth. Not Melania, not the press, nobody. Promise me." "Ivanka." The studio went dead silent. You could hear the air conditioning hum. Trump's face drained. The color just left it. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. For the first time that night, his voice cracked when he tried to speak. That's not... Where did you even get that?" Fallon didn't answer right away. He folded the note back, slipped it into the album, and looked straight at Trump. "Mr. President," he said, calm as ever, "America needs the truth. There's too much confusion about Barron's parentage. People have been asking questions for months. They deserve answers." Trump blinked fast. His hands gripped the arms of the chair. "Nonsense," he finally got out. "Absolute nonsense. This is family love. You're twisting everything. Family love, that's all it is." But the words stumbled over each other. His usual boom was gone. It sounded smaller, thinner. The audience didn't laugh. Nobody clapped. A woman in the third row put her hand over her mouth. A guy next to her just stared, frozen. The band sat still. No drum roll, no sting to cut the tension. The whole room felt like it was holding its breath, waiting for what came next. Trump forced another laugh, but it came out wrong, sharp and hollow. He pointed at the album. "You're playing games, Jimmy. Bad games. Very bad." His eyes darted to the cameras, then back to Fallon, searching for an escape route that wasn't there. Fallon didn't wait for the silence to settle. He reached under the table and pulled out a small black remote. One click, and the big studio screen behind them lit up. A simple audio waveform appeared. Nothing fancy, just a timestamp from 2018 and the label "Former WHA'd, Confidential." He pressed play. A woman's voice filled the speakers, clear and steady despite the years. It was the ex-assistant, someone who'd worked close to the family during the first term. "I was in the residence hallway late one night," she said. "Ivanka was on the phone with him. I heard her say it plain as day. Barron is our son. We can't keep pretending forever." I froze. I didn't know what to do, so I just walked away. But I never forgot those words. The clip ended. The screen went black. Trump's head snapped toward Fallon. His face was red now, veins standing out on his neck. He jabbed a thick finger across the space between them. "You're lying," he shouted, voice booming through the microphones. "That's fake. Totally fake. You doctored it, Jimmy. You and the fake news rigged this whole thing." The audience gasped. A few people shifted in their seats. The band stayed frozen. No music cue, no nothing. Fallon didn't flinch. He just looked back at Trump. Calm, almost sad. Before Trump could keep going, Fallon spoke quietly into his earpiece mic. "We've got someone on the line right now. Let's bring her in." The screen switched again. A small video window popped up, grainy but recognizable. It was the same woman from the audio, older now, sitting in what looked like a home office. She looked straight into her webcam. "I'm coming forward because I can't live with this anymore," she said, voice shaking just a little. I heard Ivanka say those exact words. "Barron is our son." I recorded it on my phone that night because I was scared. I still have the file. I'm ready to turn it over to whoever needs it. The 15-second clip cut off. The studio erupted. Not cheers, not boos, just a low, stunned rumble. Phones lit up everywhere. People whispering, "Did she just—" and "Holy crap!" Trump's mouth opened wide, then snapped shut. His eyes were wild. He leaned forward, pointing again, but this time the words came out wrong. "Barron. Barron's not Melania's problem. You people don't understand." The whole room froze. He realized what he'd said half a second too late. His hand dropped. The color drained from his face again, faster this time. The audience let out a collective, "Oh!" like air leaving a balloon. Someone in the back actually said, "What?" out loud. Fallon waited one beat. Then he spoke, voice steady as ever. "I have proof of your illegal relationship, Mr. President." Trump exploded. He shot to his feet, chair scraping loud against the floor. "Cut the feed!" he yelled, spinning toward the cameras. "Cut it right now! This is over! You hear me? Turn it off!" He waved his arms at the control booth, face twisted in fury. "Cut the damn cameras! You're done, Fallon! You're finished!" But the red lights stayed on. The feed kept rolling. Viewers at home saw every second. The President of the United States standing there, red-faced, shouting at invisible people to shut down his own interview. The studio audience sat in shocked silence at first. Then the murmurs grew into a wave of disbelief. A woman covered her mouth. A guy in the front row just shook his head slowly. Fallon stayed seated. He didn't stand up to match Trump's height. He didn't raise his voice. He just looked up at the raging man in front of him and said nothing more. The album stayed closed on his lap. The screen behind them still showed the frozen frame of the witness's face. Trump took one step toward Fallon, then stopped like he suddenly remembered where he was. His breathing was heavy, his hands clenched and unclenched. Trump was still on his feet, chest heaving, face flushed dark red. He jabbed a finger straight at Fallon's chest from across the small gap between their chairs. "You'll regret this, Fallon," he roared, voice cracking with rage. "I'll destroy you. You think you can do this to me? I'll bury you. Your show, your whole career. You have no idea what's coming." The threat landed hard. The studio audience sucked in a breath. A few people shifted uncomfortably, like they wanted to disappear. Phones were out everywhere now, live streaming the meltdown. Fallon didn't move. He just sat there, hands folded on the closed album, eyes steady on Trump. No smirk, no fear, just calm. Then the stage manager's voice crackled in Fallon's earpiece, low and urgent. "Jimmy, we've got an incoming call on the hotline. It's Ivanka Trump. She's insisting to come on right now." Fallon gave the tiniest nod. The big screen behind them switched again. Ivanka's face appeared. Perfect makeup, but her eyes were wide, panicked. She was clearly calling from somewhere private, maybe her office, maybe home. The connection was live, no delay. "Dad," she started, voice tight. "This is ridiculous. Jimmy, you need to stop this. You're spreading lies. Barron he's our family. Melania's son. This is all twisted. You don't understand how things were back then. The timing, the pregnancy announcement was complicated, okay? We had to keep things quiet because of the campaign, because of everything. But it's not what you're saying." She paused, breathing fast. Then she added, almost pleading, "The baby was already... We knew months before the public announcement. It wasn't like Melania was carrying him the whole time. Things were different. But that doesn't mean..." She cut herself off, realizing too late what she'd just admitted. The timeline didn't match. Melania's public pregnancy reveal had been later, much later, than what Ivanka just slipped. The math was off by months. The audience let out a stunned, "Whoa!" Murmurs turned into a low roar. Someone yelled, "What the hell?" from the back. Trump spun toward the screen, eyes bulging. "Ivanka, stop talking! Hang up! This is not..." But Fallon was already moving. He tapped a button on the tablet beside him. A clean graphic popped up on the main screen. A simple timeline in bold red and blue lines. "Take a look at this," Fallon said quietly. "Here's the public record. Melania's pregnancy announced December 2014. Barron born March 20th, 2016. That's about 15 months of pregnancy timeline, but medical records leaked years ago, ones nobody could explain, show Ivanka had a private doctor visit in June 2015. Routine prenatal check. Same doctor Melania used later. And here..." He pointed to a time-stamped photo from a tabloid archive. Ivanka, visibly pregnant, at a low-key event in late summer 2015, wearing loose clothes, hand on her stomach. The date stamp matched the leaked record. This was 4 months before Melania's announcement. The dates don't line up. Unless... He let the silence finish the sentence. Trump staggered back half a step. His mouth worked, no sound at first. Then his voice broke, actually cracked like thin ice. This is a witch hunt," he screamed, eyes suddenly wet and red-rimmed. "A total witch hunt! You people are disgusting! Disgraceful!" The last word came out choked. He stopped shouting. Just stood there, breathing hard, staring at the screen like it had personally betrayed him. For a long second he looked lost. Fallon waited. Then he asked the question everyone had been holding their breath for. "Mr. President, does Barron know the truth yet?" Trump's head snapped up. In one violent motion, he lunged forward, out of his chair, and pointed right in Fallon's face, inches away. "You shut your mouth! You don't talk about my son! You don't get to say his name!" The studio exploded. People shouted, some stood up, others yelled, "Sit down and get him out!" Security edged closer from the wings but didn't move in yet. The noise was deafening, anger, shock, confusion all crashing together. Trump's finger trembled. His face was inches from Fallon's. Sweat beaded on his forehead. He looked like he might swing, or collapse, or both. Fallon never flinched. He stayed seated, voice low and cold now, cutting through the chaos like a knife. "The public deserves to know," he said. "Now I've said what I had to." He didn't stand, didn't raise his voice, just let the words hang there while Trump towered over him, breathing like he'd run a mile. The cameras caught every second, the finger in Fallon's face, the red eyes, the shaking hand. The hotline screen still showed Ivanka, frozen, hand over her mouth. Trump finally lowered his arm. He took one step back, then another. His shoulders slumped just a fraction. He looked around at the screaming audience, the unblinking cameras, the graphics still glowing behind him. Nobody spoke for what felt like forever. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, he muttered, "This isn't over." He turned and stormed off the set, shoving past a stagehand who didn't get out of the way fast enough. The curtain swung behind him. Fallon sat there a moment longer. Then he looked straight into the main camera. "That's all for tonight," he said quietly. "Good night, America." The band didn't play out. The lights didn't dim right away. The feed just kept rolling, live. Trump hadn't made it far off the set. He spun back around just as the curtain started to close behind him, face twisted in fury. He shoved the fabric aside and stormed right back into the lights, voice booming louder than before. "Stop the show! You hear me? Stop this right now! Cut everything! This is my country and you're not doing this to me." He waved both arms wildly at the control booth, at the cameras, at anybody who'd listen. "Turn it off! Turn it all off! You're breaking the law! This is treason! Shut it down!" But the red lights stayed lit. The cameras didn't blink. The feed kept rolling live to millions. No cut, no fade, no mercy. The audience watched in stunned silence as the President of the United States tried to command the room like it was one of his old rallies. It didn't work. The tech crew didn't budge. The show kept going. Fallon stayed seated for another beat, then reached for the remote again. He didn't look rushed. One press, and a new audio file loaded on the screen. This one was shorter, even grainier, clearly recorded from a distance, maybe a hallway, maybe a phone left on a table. The timestamp read 2016, weeks after Barron's birth. Ivanka's voice came through soft, almost a whisper but unmistakable. "Dad, our secret's safe. The little one's here now. No one will ever know he's ours. We did it. We really did it." The words hung in the air like smoke. Trump froze mid-gesture. His shoulders dropped. His mouth opened, but no sound came out at first. Then his eyes filled. Red, glassy, wet. Not tears of sadness. Tears of pure, helpless rage. He looked like a man watching his entire world crack open in slow motion. A low, broken sound escaped his throat. Half growl, half sob. He wiped his face hard with the back of his hand, smearing sweat and whatever else was there. The studio was so quiet you could hear the faint hum of the overhead lights. Fallon stood up slowly. For the first time that night, he rose to his full height. He closed the album with both hands, deliberate, gentle almost, like he was putting something to rest. He turned away from Trump and looked straight into the main camera, the one beaming everything out to the world. "That's all," he said, voice steady and clear. "America now knows." He didn't add anything else. No jokes, no apologies. Just those 5 words. Trump's hand shot up one last time. He pointed straight at Fallon, fingers shaking. "This isn't over," he shouted, voice raw and cracking. "You hear me? This isn't over. You'll pay for this, all of you." Then he turned. He stormed off the set for real this time, shoving past 2 crew members, knocking over a light stand that clattered loud across the floor. The curtain ripped a little as he disappeared behind it. Gone. The studio lights didn't dim right away. They just hung there, bright and merciless. Nobody moved. The band sat frozen with their instruments. The audience stayed in their seats, mouths open, some crying quietly, others just staring at the empty space where Trump had been. Phones buzzed everywhere. Texts, notifications, alerts blowing up in pockets and purses. Fallon's own phone, sitting on the table next to the album, started vibrating hard. Once, twice, then non-stop, like it was possessed. The screen lit up with names: producers, network execs, lawyers, friends, strangers. Twitter, X, was already exploding. Hashtags racing to the top. Hashtag Barron Truth, hashtag Fallon Trump, hashtag What Just Happened. Clips of the last 5 minutes were being posted every second, views climbing into the millions. Fallon didn't touch the phone. He just stood there a moment longer, looking out at the silent crowd. Then he gave a small nod. To them, to the cameras, to nobody in particular, and walked off the set himself. Slow, calm, done. The screen finally faded to black,